I'm R.J. Gore, professor of systematic theology at Erskine Theological Seminary. Apologetics is a fascinating subject. I've been studying it or teaching it for about 3 decades now, and it's not quite what it once was. One of the books that I have found very helpful is a recent book by Scott Oliphant, The Faithful Apologist. And in this book, he tells us, he said there was a time in apologetics when we were trying to get the burp effect. And he says what we were trying to do, we were trying to argue with people and get the truth burped out. Well, the fact of the matter is that in the modern era, that's what you did. You built rational arguments. You brought in scientific, philosophical, historical evidence. But that doesn't work in a culture that has now fully embraced postmodernity. People don't even know that we're in postmodernity. It's the water in which the fish swims, and the fish doesn't even know he's wet. So postmodernity says truth is whatever you want it to be. Look at the number of significant issues in our society that, say, in the period of a decade or two, have completely turned upside down. That gives you the evidence that we have moved away from truth-based to something else. Apologetics wants to get back to that truth base. And this book says that the way we need to do apologetics is by persuasion. And Oliphant argues that the greatest act of persuasion is the incarnation, God himself taking upon himself human flesh, becoming one with us to come meet with us and draw us to himself. So in apologetics these days, the way I teach it, there are 2 wonderful books edited by William Edgar and Scott Oliphant called Christian Apologetics, Past and Present. The first volume takes you up to 1500. The second volume, a little thicker, takes you 1500 to the present. And it takes you through time. You can see how the Christian faith was challenged at any given point over the last 2,000 years, and most importantly, how it is being challenged now. And to that, I would say there's something that we do in apologetics now that we didn't do when I came through. When I teach apologetics, I have students read Neighboring Faiths. It's about other world religions. It's a fairly sizable book, and it covers a lot, including very small, insignificant, theoretically, forms of non-Christian faith. But the point is that we live in a world where what used to be the missionaries' concern is now all of our concern. So the world has changed, and apologetics has to keep up with that. The neat thing is, of course, the truth doesn't change. We're still teaching from the same scripture that I was reading as a student. So that part of it, the transcendental dimension, hasn't changed at all. What has changed is the need for Christian people to understand the Bible so that they can persuade their family, friends, and neighbors to hear the gospel and to believe it. And so if we're doing apologetics well, we're doing it now in a contextual fashion, knowing who is out there and what needs they have, and preparing ourselves, as Peter says, to give an answer to every man of the hope that lies inside.